Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Castanet's Week in Review. I'm Braden Ursel and I've got some interesting stories to share with you today, including the honoring of Truth and Reconciliation in Canada, a rally being planned in Merritt after its latest hospital closure, how drastic temperature changes impacted agriculture across the valley, and finally, a story about an ultra-endurance athlete from Vernon who was found unconscious in Mexico. We'll kick things off in Kelowna, where a group of middle school students joined forces with the RCMP in a paddle across the lake to take part in an Indigenous ceremony with elders. It's a year-long project that brings learning, education, and understanding to both Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth.
Everything went well. You know, we had a ceremony over here. We have the youths with the smudging and the songs and the water ceremony. You've probably seen that. It's a year-long project for us where we take this youth from the school and we teach them traditional stuff that will eventually end up into the Truth and Reconciliation Day, which is today. You notice there's some Indigenous and non-Indigenous kids. We don't turn them away. And so with us, the RCMP, and some of our elders here, teaching the kids together, they learn to understand what Truth and Reconciliation is all about, and it makes them work together. And I think that's the best thing that could happen.
It was the third paddle across the lake in 3 years, and it comes on the same day as BC's first official statutory holiday for Truth and Reconciliation. Organizers of a rally Sunday in Merritt to protest temporary closures of the emergency department at the community's hospital are hoping for a big turnout and a lot of noise. The emergency department at Merritt's Nicola Valley Hospital has been closed more than a dozen times this year due to staffing shortages. The most recent closure was for 24 hours on Thursday and Friday of this week, meaning anyone in the community of 7,000 people needing emergency care would have to travel out of town to Kamloops or Kelowna. While protesters believe the province is failing to provide sufficient health care, the Merritt Mayor, Michael Goetz, says he'll be at the rally to support the town's doctors and nurses at the hospital. The rally is slated for 1 p.m. on October 1st. Drastic temperature changes affected agriculture across the Okanagan this year, including an impact on apple crops. Grower Steve Brown in Penticton says a lot of growers are down in volume this year. He expects his Gala apples to be down a yield by at least 40%.
Well, it's really tough with your yield being down because just like any other expense, you have overhead or operating expense that kind of stays the same. It doesn't matter how big or small your crop is. You have all those inputs that you have to do no matter what. And most of those inputs are actually a year in advance, right? Because you have to prune it all, you have to thin it, and then all those other things that go into it before you pick it, actually. And so by the time you pick it, it is what it is.
The upside is the fruit should be a little bit sweeter because of the heat this summer. Shifting over now to a story about a Vernon ultra-endurance athlete who was found unconscious in a ditch while racing in Mexico this week. Shonda crashed her bike into a ditch during a portion of the Mexico double-decker continuous race after being found unconscious by another racer from Germany. Hill was lucky enough to escape with just minor scrapes and bruising. After dusting herself off, she was able to hop back on the bike and continue the race towards the finish line. And that's where we find ourselves through the week in review. We'll be back with another round of interesting stories next weekend. For Castanet News, I'm Braden Ursel.